Hi, welcome back to Unsightly Opinions. If you're new, my name's Tamara, and today I will be answering the internet's top 10 most Googled questions about blindness. Without further ado, let's dive right in. Question number 1. Why do blind people's eyes move so much? There are a number of different answers to this question, but the main answer is because of a condition called nystagmus. Nystagmus is a condition which means that people's eyes can't really fixate on objects, so they move around in an effort to try and find a focal point. While many blind people have a nystagmus or eyes that shake, not all blind people do. It depends in large measure on the type of eye condition you have and how severe it is. There are different kinds of nystagmus. There are pendular nystagmus and circular nystagmus and a couple of others that I can't remember off the top of my head, and I'm going to do an entire video on nystagmus and what it affects and how it affects vision. But for right now, let's just say that I have a pendular nystagmus, which means that my eyes shake back and forth very quickly, although eyes can shake at different speeds or move in different ways. And I sometimes have a nystagmus where my eyes kind of pop off in random directions, or they'll float up, or they'll not track together. And it's always been that way ever since the day I was born. Question number 2, do blind people dream? The long and short answer is yes. Most blind people do dream, although what people perceive in their dreams is different depending on the person. For me, when I dream, I typically experience my dream or the visual abilities in my dream to be the same as what they are in my everyday life. I perceive things the same way, although sometimes if it's necessary for context in the dream, my brain will automatically, magically have details that it wouldn't necessarily know. For example, I might know that someone's shirt is green if it was important for the story that my brain was trying to tell me, whereas I wouldn't be able to see that in real life. Sometimes I think I can see more in dreams than I can in real life, and sometimes I can see less in dreams than I can in real life. It just depends on the dream I'm having and the day I've been having as well. I did have significantly more vision when I was younger, so I think that's my brain trying to remember those visual details and give them to me in a way that would be stimulating for my subconscious. But again, nobody really knows everything about dreams or why we have dreams, so I'm going to leave that to the experts, and if they come up with a better answer, I'll fill you in later. Question number 3, can blind people live on their own? The short answer is yes. The long answer is it depends on the individual and the tools and skills that they have for independent living. When you can't see or you have a very severe visual impairment, there are often many things that you need to adapt or accommodate in your environment. And many people lose vision at different points in their life, so again, that is going to depend on their ability to do things one way or another. If someone is born blind, I would typically say that with the right interventions and with the right technology and adaptations, there is no reason that a person who is blind can't live on their own. I have lived on my own for many years, and there is no reason that I would need to have somebody around to do things for me. Technology is such that if I need somebody, I can call somebody and FaceTime them and ask them for visual information if I need to. I can use Be My Eyes. I have adaptive technology to tell what color things are. I can do things safely in the kitchen. And because I have to do things differently, not everybody has the same skill set or abilities that I do. So again, it would depend on the individual and their skills. It should be mentioned that there are many household things that would be inaccessible at face value to somebody who is blind. For example, microwaves or stoves, unless they have braille labeled touch panels or markings that the person who is blind understands how to use. I, for example, have braille labels on my microwave, my stove, most of my crock pots and electronics, so I know what the buttons mean, in addition to my washer and dryer, so I can use those independently. Question number 4, how do blind people use technology? Now, this is a very complicated question because it depends on the person, it depends on their visual ability, and it depends on what they need to use the technology for. In this video, I'll give you a very brief explanation, but next week, I will be doing an in-depth video where you can actually see me use technology, see how it works, and understand some of the basic techniques that I use to navigate my phone, my watch, my computer, and anything else that I interact with. Many people who have remaining vision will use a variety of tools to make their technology work for them. Most people, if they can, will use their remaining vision to interact with their technology. Some of the features that many of my friends use are magnifiers, inverting colors, changing color filters, changing the size of fonts, so that they can make their technology work for them and put it in a size that they can actually see what's on screen. For those of us that don't have enough remaining vision, myself in that category, we use screen readers. And screen readers are great for people even if they do have enough remaining vision to read some text, because they can help reduce the visual fatigue and visual strain that is required to actually read or interpret information visually. What a screen reader does is it provides auditory feedback for text and visual information on the screen. Whether you are inputting information like typing, it will read those letters aloud as you type them, or if there is printed material on the screen, it will read that aloud to you as you navigate through the screen. Question number 5. Do blind people blink? This one surprised me a little bit, and I actually had to do a little bit of research prior to filming. Blinking has nothing to do with visual ability or visual acuity. If you have eyes, most people will blink. So whether you have sight or not, people still blink. Question number 6. What is legal blindness? Legal blindness is a term used to define somebody who has vision worse than 20/200 if you're using imperial or foot measurements, or 6/60 vision if you're using metric measurements. What that means is if somebody has 20/20 vision or can read that line at the bottom of the eye chart perfectly fine, they are said to have average vision. A person with 20/200 vision can only see that top letter at the top of the eye chart and nothing below it, or maybe even not even that. What that means is the level of detail that that person is seeing is significantly reduced from what is considered average or quote normal vision. Legal blindness is used to define anybody who has vision worse than 20/200 all the way down to somebody who can see next to nothing. Someone who is considered legally blind is going to need interventions because their visual impairment is severe enough that they are going to need additional tools, techniques, and adaptations in order to function independently in daily living. Whether that's using enlarged print, using a cane, using a guide dog, learning special adaptive or mobility skills, or something else entirely. I should also mention that somebody who is considered legally blind may have perfect vision in a small portion of their field of vision. So I believe, and the number changes depending on where you live, if you have less than 20 and sometimes 10 degrees of vision in a specific area of your visual field, you are still considered to be legally blind even if you have perfect vision in a very small segment of vision. Number 7, is it okay to pet guide dogs? The long and short answer is no. Do not pet a guide dog. A guide dog is a mobility tool, and while many guide dogs are very, very friendly, it is not okay to interrupt their work. They are performing a task. A typical rule of thumb is that if the dog is wearing a harness or vest, do not interact with them in any way. And that means don't pet them. Don't look at them. Don't say things like, "Oh, I know I'm not supposed to pet you," because that distracts the dog all the same. So please just try to ignore any kind of a service dog or guide dog that is wearing their harness. And if they are not wearing their harness, please still ask if it's okay to pet that dog. Question number 8. As vision deteriorates, do your other senses get keener or stronger, or do you get special powers? This is a difficult question to answer for me because I have never experienced anything except legal blindness. At my very best acuity when I was younger, I was still considered severely visually impaired. Now, that being said, when you don't have the full functionality of one sense, you do learn to compensate with your other senses. Whether my senses are heightened, I could not tell you, but what I can say is I pay attention to them more. I have trained my senses in a way that most people who are sighted would never need to learn how to do to compensate for the fact that I don't get information visually. Question number 9. Should you help blind people, and how can you best help blind people? First off, most blind people are very independent and can do most things without any kind of help whatsoever. If you think somebody may need assistance, the first thing that you can do is ask them if they need assistance. Don't assume, always ask. "Excuse me, would you like some help crossing the street?" Don't touch somebody without their permission. If you do need to help a blind person locate something or move out of the position that they are in, you should offer them what is referred to as sighted guide. I will be doing an in-depth video on sighted guide very soon, but what I want you to know is what you should do is offer the person your elbow. If they have a guide dog, typically the guide dog will be on the left, stand on the right-hand side. If they are a cane user, you can stand on either side, but ask what their preference is. Offer them your elbow so they will grasp you just above the elbow joint, right about here. Keep your elbow bent, and they will stand to the side and about one step behind you. If you get to a narrow passage, put your arm behind your back so that the blind person can follow you in single file. It's also very helpful if you can warn them of any kind of changes in terrain like steps, doorways, or other obstacles that they might run into. So they can not only know what to be aware of to avoid it, but also so that they can stay oriented in space. Always remember to offer the blind person your elbow, not grab their elbow. That's for safety reasons, and we'll get into that in greater detail in a later video. Question number 10, how do you tell money apart? Well, I live in a wonderful country called Canada, where all of our bills have Braille on them. So every single one of the new bills that comes out in Canada has Braille printed on it, and it lasts for a very long time. Now, I know everybody's going to make fun of me for my Monopoly money here, but if we look at each bill individually, the $5 bill has one full cell. It's not real Braille numbers on it, it's a full cell or 6 full dots, because that lasts the longest and is the easiest to tell on a bill. So a $5 bill has one full cell in the top left corner. A $10 bill has 2 full cells in the top left corner. A $20 bill has 3 in a row in the top left-hand corner. A $50 bill has 4 full cells in the top left-hand corner. And a $100 bill has 2 full cells, but they are separated, one in the center of the bill and one on the outside. So every single bill that we have in Canada is identifiable by somebody, even if they have absolutely no vision. I don't know if larger bills have Braille on them. I would imagine they do, but I've never seen a $1,000 bill or a $10,000 bill, and I have no intention of carrying bills larger than 100 in my pocket. That's a crazy amount of cash to be carrying around with you. As for coins, each one of the Canadian coins is a different size, has a different edge, and has different weights to them. So it's easy to tell them apart just by size and weight in your hand. When I'm in the UK, all of their bills are different sizes. So you can tell roughly by the size that it is what denomination the currency is. As for US dollars, that's where things get a little more complicated. Most of those bills are the same size. So in order to tell those apart, what most people do who are blind is they use specialized money clips, which are divided by denomination so that you can keep each bill separate. And then when you get change back, you ask whoever's handing you money to arrange it in order so you can put it away correctly and make sure that you have the correct bill. There is also adaptive technology now in terms of optical character reading on your phone, which will identify currencies for you so you can keep it organized. Anyways, this was a very long list. If you have any other questions about blindness, please leave them in the comments down below. If you like content like this, please don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, leave me a comment. I love to hear from you. If you want to keep up to date with what's going on in my life in between uploads, I have an accessible Twitch stream on Sunday nights, 7:30 Mountain Standard Time, and I have my other social media accounts linked in the description box down below. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.